Episode 25, Spider's Egg. Alright, welcome back, new listeners and old. You've discovered my dark and sordid little corner of the world. You may call me Jessi, and the irritating one to my right here is Skye, and we are what we've taken to calling marked, humans who've been drastically changed by encounters from beyond the veil. We've taken it upon ourselves to be the readers of these stories, these sagas of the dark. So sit back, put your feet up, and listen to a new one.
You're the one reading these, dork.
Right. And what does that make you? My secretary?
Unpaid intern, more like.
I didn't ask you to organize and pick these, you know.
Well, someone had to. You'd drown in these papers if I didn't. Now get to reading.
Ugh, fine. A listener submission. So you had an encounter then, you, faceless man on the internet. Fine then, I'll tell you my story too, though I'm certain that somewhere down the line, it'll bite me in the ass. My name is Darren Sarkar, 35 years old. I work and live in Bolton, Ontario, and I have been sober for 10 years. Most people don't believe that last part anymore, but I swear that I haven't drunk a drop. At all. It took most of my early 20s, and it's not something that I have any desire to go back to. This all started, well, only a few months ago now, back in February. I was working at the Garden Foods, over by Landsbridge, down the street from the church. Anyways, I work produce there and have for quite a while now. In my line of work, it's not unusual to see spiders in the fruits or the veggies. They're usually dead by the time they get to us, but occasionally they live to spook whatever poor soul reaches to grab the produce from the box. First time it happened to me, I jumped and screeched, thinking it was crawling on me. The guys laughed hard at me that day.
Why is it always spiders?
What, the great and mighty Skye Burton is afraid of spiders?
They're creepy things with like a dozen eyes and legs that move in just the creepiest of ways, and there's at least 5 versions of them that can kill you almost instantly?
Whoa, okay then. You know we live in Canada, right? Most of the deadly ones don't live here.
First off, you just said most. And second, I don't think these things from the Black Lagoon here really care about what country we live in.
Okay, fine, but we don't even know that this is all about spiders. He could just be saying he's scared of them. Arachnophobia is a very common fear.
You know there's spiders as big as plates, right? Like dinner plates. They eat birds.
Have you been watching Harry Potter again? I'm used to them by now, or I was. I've hated spiders my entire life. Those tiny dotted eyes, the hairy legs, hell, the number of legs. Everything about them creeps me out. But the thing that really gets me is the population. Spiders are horrifying on their own, but most breeds of the arachnids can produce dozens or hundreds at a time. Saw a movie as a kid, I don't even remember what it was called anymore, but in it, one of the side characters are killed by thousands of the tiny buggers crawling and biting him over and over and over. I'm sure the scene was only a few seconds long, but in my memory, that shot lingers over the crawling monsters as they slowly tear him apart bit by bit. Anyways, at my job, most of the ones I see are dead by the time they get to me, and a dead spider is just as bad. Why? A huge amount of spider breeds can still hold their young when they die, so there's every possibility that a dead spider in my banana box might explode into tiny ferocious little bastards. No, it hasn't happened yet, but there's every chance that it will, and that's enough to spook me most days. So I worked out an arrangement with one of the unloaders. I pay him an extra $50 a month, and he checks the boxes as they come in for me. He looks at me with pity most days, but it's worth it to me. Everyone has that one thing that creeps them out beyond reason, minus spiders. I want you to understand something. I am sober. Dry as the day I was born. Everyone thinks I've fallen off the wagon, but I haven't, and you have to believe that. It all started in February, like I said. Typically a month where my unloader buddy doesn't really have to check the boxes much. They're usually dead and decayed long before they get to us. He still gives a cursory glance, but that's it really. So when I found a dead one in the box with the carrots, I just thought he hadn't really checked it, and kind of just shrugged it off. I got a broom and a box and quickly swept the dead gross thing into it, ready to drop it and jump back should there be any sign of tiny legs and eyes and fangs. But there was nothing. So I threw the box in the compactor and moved on. I think this is what triggered it. It was the first spider I've disposed of since I was a kid. Looking back, it might have been alive and molting. I don't know. I run these events through my mind a lot, and I think this is what triggered it all somehow. And so I went about my day, saw no more, and wrote it off. One time, he missed one. Not worth bringing it up. Truth be told, if I wasn't constantly on the alert for the arachnid monstrosities, I probably wouldn't have noticed it either. So I nodded and waved to him on my way out and went home. On my way, I walked because I live pretty close. I saw that same spider corpse on the ground outside. I stopped dead for a moment and then laughed at myself and kept going. Obviously, it was just a different one, even though both had been pretty large and that same hairy brown-yellow color. Thinking about it was starting to set me on edge, so I walked just a little faster, got home, and slammed the door. I was shaking something fierce. I know how that sounds, a grown man shaking at the sight of a dead spider, but it's a genuine phobia. Like it triggers some kind of chemical reaction in my brain, makes me enter the whole fight or flight thing, and against spiders, flight every single time. Anyways, I went to the kitchen and grabbed a cigarette, I only smoke at home, and popped out to the backyard, lighting the thing as I went. I own a pretty nice house with a backyard that has a patio and in-ground pool and a few nice chairs. I entertain on occasion, so I try to keep it pretty clean, and I have this little hand vacuum outside for cleaning the chairs and their cushions. I absent-mindedly grabbed it and started cleaning them as I did every so often. I cleaned the first 3 normally, but on the 4th I was jerked from the little reverie I was in when something got caught in the vacuum. I blinked and looked down at it, and then dropped it and let out a yelp. I swear to you and all your listeners that it was the same spider. The same size, the same fuzzy brown with lighter yellowy highlights, and that same stereotypical dead position they all take with their limbs curled in on themselves. A neighbor popped his head over the fence, and I just gave a small smile and a wave, my entire body starting to tremble. I knew that it wasn't the same one. It's not possible. It couldn't have been. The damn thing was crushed by an industrial compactor. That thing can crush human bones to a paste. It wasn't the same beast. It couldn't be. I knew I had to be crazy right then, or I was dreaming or something, because I'm a very logical person most days, and that could not have been the same. And then it moved.
Ugh. Nope. I'd be lighting my house on fire.
Please don't set my house on fire. It's still my brother's, and I'd really rather not be homeless just because you saw a small spider.
Shut up.
Right. Ahem. It jerked lightly, maybe in the breeze, maybe because it wasn't dead. I didn't stick around. I rapidly backed up to the door, making sure to keep the fuzzy thing in my peripheral. Spiders can move fast when they want to, and I didn't want that damn thing to sneak in with me. It didn't move again as I slammed the sliding door and took a few deep breaths. I was shaking so bad at that point I couldn't even lock the door. I closed my eyes and decided to call my sponsor. I was starting to crave the drink at this point. I was clinging to my 10-year chip, but the desire to just drown myself till I forgot that thing, well, it was more powerful than even when I'd quit the first time all those years ago. I know it sounds like an overreaction. Just a couple spiders, right? But what I didn't tell you, when I closed that door, it blinked. I saw it. More eyes than it should have had. A good 10 or more, all opening at once, all blinking, or so I thought. I knew how crazy it all was. I knew how it all sounds, okay? But in the moment, seeing those orbs blinking off time with each other...
Absolutely the fuck not.
Look, you don't have to be here for this, you know.
Ugh, fine, continue.
So glad I have your permission. Ahem. So I called her. She went through the affirmations with me, the Lord's Prayer, talked to me about it for a while. We both knew that spiders had once been a trigger for my drinking, so she's never once mocked me for it. I appreciated it, and by the time we were done, I was actually able to sleep. The next day, there were no spiders. Not that day, not the next, or even for the next month. I wrote it off and even forgot about it, though my sponsor did check in every few days, make sure I was alright. She came over once, didn't find any spiders, but sat at the table and talked with me over cards for the night. Then my birthday happened, and this is where everyone, my sponsor included, got the idea that I'm drinking again. Which I'm not. A few coworkers, my mom, and a couple friends all arranged a surprise party for me, with my sponsor coming both to celebrate but also to keep an eye on me. I would hardly be the first to slip up at a party. The party went well. I was actually kind of surprised when I came home to them waiting. The presents were nice, some clothes, a book I'd been wanting, a die-cast model car I'd once mentioned to a coworker. Truth be told, the spider had been pretty well forgotten by then. And then the cake. First off, what everyone else saw. A nice, round, white cake with frosting that said, "Happy birthday, Dare." I know this because my mom took pictures. She always did. She took pictures of everything. It used to drive me crazy. I swear as a kid I saw that camera lens more than I saw her face. But what I saw, that goddamn spider. After all those weeks, there it was, massive, taking up the whole plate, its limbs still folded, its dozen eyes blinking, those fangs trembling, the first swishing in the breeze. It was like it sat there in a predator's pose, ready to leap at any moment. And on its back, hundreds and hundreds of tiny white forms, all twisting and moving and trembling and twitching, and I screamed. I'm not proud of it, and I don't usually consider myself the screaming type, but seeing the object of all my fear sitting there staring at me, tense like it was targeting me, My lungs pushed the sound out before I could even think to stop it. Skye, I can see you shivering there. I can come get you when this is done.
I don't need charity, Lucky Charms.
Fine, whatever. Then it jumped. It leapt at my face with the force of a small dog, fangs dripping, its many legs outstretched like it was going to grab my face. I blacked out at that moment, but according to everyone at the party, I kept screaming. I fell to the floor and seemed to be smacking myself over and over, writhing and screaming as if there were thousands of bugs on me. Apparently, I didn't react to anyone, not even when my coworkers lifted me to the couch, nor when my sponsor tried talking to me, nothing. When I came to, my sponsor and my mom, had signed me up for rehab. Tried telling them I wasn't drinking, that nothing of the sort happened. How did they not see the giant spider that was on the plate? And then my mom showed me the pictures, and I admit, I even doubted my own innocence. Was I really drinking after all, somehow? But I know that I wasn't. And in rehab, I didn't go through the usual symptoms. I didn't share my troubles in the groups. I had none. None that could be believed, anyways. No one took my claims seriously, though. One time I told them the spider was in the group meeting room, sitting in the corner with its many, many young on its growing back. It seemed more relaxed now, like I was where it wanted me, caught in an invisible web where it could just come after me at its leisure. Maybe I'm associating malice with a hallucination, or maybe, just maybe, it really is an evil little monster. Nor did they believe me when I said it was in my room, so I just stopped telling them. I spent many, many nights awake. Sometimes I'd fall asleep in the bathrooms when I tried to get away from its constant gaze, from the sounds of all those legs, all those mouths. I swore once that I felt saliva drip from it onto me. I don't know if spiders actually have saliva, but I'm honestly too scared to look it up. I told myself that it just had to be a leak from the pipes in the ceiling, and I am sticking to that. Eventually, they let me out, and connected to the outside world again. I went to the library. I looked up every possibility for what was going on with me. Ancient religions, curses, mental disorders. I went to a doctor, figured it couldn't hurt. They might take me seriously, I thought. Surely they get head cases in and out, right? After a very, very unhelpful hour-long conversation, I realized I was getting nowhere with him. It was clear he thought I was mentally sound. So I didn't tell him that there was the arachnid thing on his shoulder. Not like he'd have believed me anyways. Every time I saw it, it was bigger. Bigger and bigger and bigger. It started as maybe half the size of my fist all those months ago. The day I left the doctor's office, it was easily the size of a small dog. Not like a chihuahua. No. More like a small bulldog. The babies on its back are more and more and more, and they've started growing, coming into their own, looking more and more like the beast that carries them. It never moves towards me, never since that first time, but it lives above my bed, and I know it will follow me if I move. I've stopped entertaining. I haven't even called my mom to let her know I'm out of rehab. I spend most of my nights outside where the thing follows me, but it's further away. Catch up on sleep when I can, but most days pass in a blur now. A blur of legs and eyes and teeth and bodies. So many spider bodies. I've begun to itch now. I know they're not on me, I know it. But every day, almost all day, I swear I can feel them on me, in me, even though I know they haven't left the spider in my room. I check myself every morning. I bought a full-length mirror purely for that. There's more now. There's the one at my work, the one that follows me outside, or even the one in the room, right now, just there. Maybe they're all the same one, I don't know. They all look the same, maybe they are. I've never seen it leave my room now. I just leave the space, and in the next room, it's there. Sometimes it's on the floor, sometimes on a web in the corner, sometimes on a street lamp, casting a huge shadow that wriggles and twitches with the hundreds and thousands of legs on its back. And even those ones, they're bigger now, each one bigger than my hand. I know one of these days, it's gonna attack me. It's gonna kill me, it's gonna eat me. I know those things, those tiny things will devour me, and no one will ever know what happened to me. But I need someone to know, to believe me before that happens. I know you can't do anything about it, but I just want someone to believe me. That's why I messaged you, why I'm telling you all this. I just want you to know I'm not crazy. I'm not drunk. I'm just itchy and hunted. Even now as I type this, there are legs all over me, little hairy things crawling up and down me, even though I know they're not. I know they're still growing on their massive mother's body, impossibly massive. God, I swear I can feel them even now. I can feel them crawling in my stomach, their tiny legs all over my insides. I can feel them scuttling in my veins, dancing on my bones. Thank you. I know I was a bit short earlier, but if you've read this far, I thank you for that, at least. It's done now, Skye. You can uncover your ears.
Ugh, that was horrible.
You know, I wonder if the fear of arachnids came from something like this long, long ago. Maybe all fears did.
Like you think phobias came from phobias?
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, let's be fair, spiders and insects in general are tiny. Most not deadly and can do very little to humans overall. It's only when they're in huge numbers that they have a real reason to be scary, but arachnophobia is a super common fear, as is a lot of insect related fears.
So you think somewhere in the past there was monster spiders and now it's an evolutionary thing?
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
I wonder if that applies to everything. The fear of death, of dark, everything?
I don't know. Sorry, listeners, tell us, did this week convince you? Why or why not? And
Until next time, let's cross the veil together.
that's not cool, Miss. This episode was written and edited by Chloe Dagan and starred Jessica Boucher as Skye Burton and Chloe Dagan as Jessi. Thanks for listening.